Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another apartment renovation. Today I'm renovating 2A Jasmine Suites, and this is an apartment inspired by a rug. I mentioned in a recent video that I really wanted to use this rug as inspiration for an entire build, whether that be an apartment or another house. And I had a ton of suggestions from y'all that had all sorts of different ideas. And the one that I thought was really interesting that I've never done before is an apartment for a dancer. I don't think this rug necessarily screams it has to be for a dancer. I just thought that was a fun idea and not something I'd ever done before. We don't actually have that many items in the game that are for that type of thing, so it's kind of hard to show that off in a build. But I thought it would be a fun idea and a little bit challenging, so I am basing it off of that rug, and also keeping in mind that I was thinking the sim was into dance and other like art forms that are revolving around music. So there are a couple of items in this build that kind of hint towards that idea, and I also specifically wanted to build into a Jasmine Suites because of the red door and how I thought that that would tie in nicely to the rug. And then I played off of that with a blue kitchen, and honestly, just the colors in this apartment made me really happy. I was quite thrilled with it. This ends up being a studio apartment. I did block off half of this apartment and fill it up with a platform, which I've done before in this apartment. I did like a tiny New York City apartment here, but I had less of it than I do now. I made it a little bit bigger for this build because I wanted it to not feel too scrunched, but I still wanted it to be a studio, especially because there wasn't really a great spot to put a bedroom if I did this particular layout without having like a wall going through a window. So you'll see how I achieved that here momentarily. But some things that I wanted to include in here to make sure to include, as I wanted this to be for a dancer, was one of the dance floors from the Get Together pack, as well as a stereo and a couple of hints at like planning, going for dance routines, maybe auditions and stuff like that. So there's a calendar that I'm going to have by the desk space, which is going to be right next to the door. You can kind of see it right now, but I had just been throwing items around trying to figure out where I wanted to put everything. I also end up having a yoga mat in here, not one of the functional ones, the decorative one that comes with the everyday clutter kit. And of course, like I said, the dance floor, which is going to be up in the bedroom space. And it has things on top of it, but I did playtest it and it works completely fine. So I was quite happy with that. So if you want to have a sim that's really into dancing, this could be a nice apartment for them. If they want to have like a dancing career in the city, I thought it could be really fun. And obviously you don't have to have this apartment be for a dancer. I just thought it was a fun idea and a cool way to incorporate this rug. And it's just always so much fun when I'm inspired by a specific item. If you didn't see the build, it was a budget family home I did where I just had a couple of bedrooms that I minorly decorated, but I saw this rug and I used it in that bedroom and I just thought it was so pretty. And so I asked in the voiceover if anyone had any ideas on what sort of build I could use or I could create to use this rug. And there were so many different ideas. There were some that were like 60s and 70s themed houses. And I feel like I've done that a lot. So that's why I didn't end up doing that. And so I hope you like this build. If you do, and you'd like to grab this apartment, it will be available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You'll also find that information in the description down below. And as you can see, I did this really fun half wall thing where it's a little bit lower by the window so it doesn't cut through the window. Then it gets higher in the middle and lower on the other side to kind of like frame out that space. And that's going to be where I put the TV on the living room side. And that's also going to be where the headboard goes for the bed on the bedroom side. So I think it worked out really nicely. It's a little bit of a weird feature, but I love it. I think it is so fun. So I am just figuring out the TV using this mirror again. It's been coming in every build lately, but that big mirror from the basement kit is just so pretty. And before this, I always used to overuse the Jungle Adventure mirror. So if we didn't just get that basement mirror, that would have been the Jungle Adventure mirror, but we have a new one now, so it's getting overused. And then I decided to add these dividers here, which are from Get Famous. I just thought they added a little bit more interest and privacy to the space. So that way, the bedroom feels a little bit more separated, even though it is a studio apartment and it's just one step up on a platform. I really liked how that came out. And I also enjoyed using these new tables that we got with the infant update as nested coffee tables. I thought they looked really pretty there. So Quite happy with that. I also used a lot of brick in this apartment because I am building this in the Spice District, which is really inspired by New York City. So I did want to include some brick in here. And I also think just brick looks really nice with these bright colors. So I was quite happy with that. All of the reds and the blues, I don't know. I also decided to add some cushions onto this couch. These are just like the ones you can hit people with if you're doing a like pillow fight. So I'm just rotating those. They look like bed cushions, but I also thought that they looked nice and kind of cozy. So I decided to put those here anyway. And then on our coffee table, I just have a plant and a little speaker. I also got a microphone in here if your Sims want to work on any kind of career that you could use that for. It just felt like it was adjacent enough to the idea of a dancer, but not entirely. I feel like the Sim is probably into dancing, musical theater, all of that sort of thing. So maybe I will change the name of this apartment to like musical theater apartment. I'm not sure. But it's currently dancer studio apartment. It can be really for anyone, but that was the vague idea. I think it's kind of fun to have that in mind because, well, there might not be specific skill building items or specific items that are really like, this is a dancer space. Having a concept to go off of for a build is always really fun. That's also kind of how my Zodiac series and my State series go, is I have a general idea of who the Sim is for, or who the build is for, what Sim it's for. So I can kind of incorporate and imagine the Sim in my mind, even if that is just, I kind of imagine them liking this particular style or these colors, even if there's no concrete evidence towards that, if that makes sense. I'm kind of rambling at you now, but hopefully you understand what I mean. And then in the kitchen here, I just got a couple of decorations. I kept it fairly minimal, but I did change out the door to the bathroom to have something that blends in a little bit more, and then just getting a pink rug here in the kitchen right by the sink. And then I put a towel hanging up there as well, using move objects just for a little bit of extra detail. And other than that, I'm just going to get a couple pieces of clutter on the corner here when you first enter in. So I have a water bottle as well as a bread box. I believe I add a phone on the counter as well. And then I also have those umbrellas tucked under the counter. I opted not to put any bar chairs at this counter because they would block the door to leave the apartment. You could put one on the one with the sink if you wanted to, but I thought it looked a little bit silly, but I still wanted it to be there. So that's how I ended up doing that. I still think it looks pretty nice, but that's something you could also easily change if you prefer to. And then with the colors I had going on in here, I thought that this bed from Eco Lifestyle would be so perfect in this space. I do end up sizing down these curtains because the ones on the angles were too big and were not placing correctly. So the ones on like that back wall, I do end up making smaller, but this one stays that size. And then I end up using a bedside table and a dresser from Cottage Living. They were the right wood tones, and I really like mixing in apartments like this, a mixture of like more modern pieces and slightly more traditional or older pieces. And I feel like the bed is so modern, but this dresser isn't. And I love that. I think it looks so nice and cozy in here. And this is that dance floor that I had used. It's not the prettiest item, but I feel like it works in the space. And like I said, it is functional. I did play test it. So your Sims can use that because I will be placing a desk on top of it against the wall over there. So there's a place for your Sims to have a computer. So that's why I mentioned that you might think it's not playable because of stuff being on top of it. But I thought it worked quite well. And then I just got a couple more decorations over here. I wanted to have some bedside table clutter. I also put a new pair of shoes. I thought that that could be important for dancing, having the correct shoes, and just a couple of pieces of jewelry and stuff around here. Pretty simple. And then figuring out that I didn't want the plain white walls because they were a little bit too like stark. So ended up changing that out and got some baskets over here as well, just to add a little bit more detail and clutter to this bedside table. And I realized I hadn't painted the wall behind the bedside table, so it was like blank and everything else was brick. So just fixing that up. There's things like that that are easy to miss when you're in the process of a build. And hopefully I usually grab them. Sometimes I don't notice them. It's funny how that happens. But anyway, this is that desk I had mentioned. I decided to get one of these computers that came with high school years. That's more of like a streaming computer. Maybe they host dance classes or do like Just Dance on Twitch or something like that. I think that could be so fun and a really fun storyline for your Sims to follow as well. And then I just added like a plant over here and a painting, and I should be adding another lamp over on that bedside table, or not on that bedside table, on that on the desk as well. It's the same one that I have on the other bedside table. I was thinking maybe they bought them as a pair, but they only had one bedside table, so they ended up putting the other one on the desk. And then this is going to be the bathroom. Very, very simple in here. I do love the colors though. I am using the shower and the tile from Jungle Adventure in here in this blue and red swatch. It's the same tile that I'm using in the kitchen, and I just think it is so pretty. I also decided to include a stacked washer and dryer in this space, so I will be also adding a hamper in here. So if you'd like to play with laundry, you have it. If not, it's an easy thing to delete, and you can put whatever you want in that space. Maybe upgrade this bathroom to be a shower tub combo bathroom so that your Sims could take a bath if they prefer to. But I thought a shower was nice, and I use the shubs too often, the shower tub combos too often. So just using a shower I thought was a nice change, and then just getting a mirror over here, some blinds on the window, trying to finish up this bathroom. I think it's really pretty because of the tiles, but I liked that it wasn't too cluttered and messy. So I hope you like it as well, just getting a bathrobe over here. And then I should be popping over to the other room to add that lamp. And then we should be heading on into screenshots. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Enjoy the screenshots. Bye everyone.